All right. I wanted to take a moment today and talk about when you're transitioning to recommendations. Now, it's possible you're watching this video before you do your first appointment with someone you don't know, someone that you were recommended to. It's possible that maybe you've done a couple of recommendations, and you've noticed that it's a little bit more difficult to do the appointment than initially with the people you know and already know you and you're comfortable with. So today I want to talk about um, why it's important to make sure you're getting to know them because as Theodore Roosevelt says, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So with the people you already know, with the people you did your first couple of appointments with, it's really easy to do the appointment with them because they already have a rapport with you. They already know who you are. You already know who they are. And hopefully they already like you. But when you're doing a demo with someone you don't know, someone you've been recommended to, they know the person you did the appointment with, which is why you got the demo with them, but they don't really know who you are. And so if you come to the demo and you're just like, okay, well, let me show you Cutco. It's a really cool thing. They might buy just because it's a great product, but you're not going to get recommendations. You're not going to build a relationship. So if they see Cutco at a booth, they're going to buy it at the booth because they don't really care about who you are. So today I want to talk about why building rapport is so important, especially when you're doing demos with someone you don't know, and because rapport helps you make bigger sales and helps you sell more often. It allows you to get more recommendations, and then it creates repeat business. So I'm at the end of 2025 right now, and I just finished up my holiday season. I did zero marketing, which I will be doing more marketing next year. But even with no marketing, I had a handful of people who reached out to me and asked me if they could buy more Cutco from me. These are people that I was recommended to from a recommendation, from a recommendation, from a recommendation. And the reason that they reach back out to me is because every interaction that I have with them ends with them feeling better than when they started the interaction. So I go out of my way to make sure that I know who my customer is and they know who I am. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So first and foremost, if you want to get something down in your notes, you want to make sure that you know them. And you should be doing this with the people you know already, is making sure that you're building rapport. And in training, I talk about, you want to spend 5 to 10 minutes talking about your customer and what they do and how they feel. For people you don't know, I'd recommend doing about 10 to 12 minutes of building a rapport with them. Now, this lengthens your demo a little bit, but when you lengthen your demo a little bit, it's going to lead to more sales and more recommendations. So my three things that I ask on every single appointment, no matter what they do, no matter how I know them, even with people that I know, is I ask what their best part of their day is. Another way you can ask this is like, hey, tell me something that you're doing right now that's bringing you joy. And the reason it's important to ask this question, and the reason it's important to start off with a positive, is because it reframes their mind and it steals or borrows some joy from another aspect of their life. And they get really excited and they tell you about the things that they're doing and the things that are bringing them joy. And when you lead off a demo like this, it prefaces the rest of the demo and it paves the demo for a demo of gratitude, a demo that is uplifting for both you and them. So asking the best part of their day makes it so even if they're having a rough day, they're remembering the best parts. The second thing I ask on every single appointment is what they do for work. And I love this question because it leads to a lot of other great questions. So I ask them what they do for work. They tell me that they're a teacher. And the follow-up question for that is like, okay, cool. Hey, how did you start doing that? Was that always your plan? Did you kind of fall into it? And you can kind of get to know who they are and their background, what they've done, what they're planning on doing. And I've noticed that people really like to have someone listen to them because in our lives, we do a lot of listening, but we don't really get to talk about ourselves a lot. It's a little bit taboo. And so asking them how they became the person that they are, what they do for work and what they like about their job, again, makes it so that they feel heard. And it's not just a presentation. Now you're building a relationship. The third thing, and I think the most important thing to do, and I've heard people do it at different times of the demo. Personally, I like doing it at the beginning, is asking for advice, right? So when I was just starting, I was just out of high school, and I was like, hey, Mrs. Jones, I'm 18 years old. I'm trying to figure out my way in the world. What do you wish you knew at my age? Like, what advice do you have for me? And the cool part about this one is you'll get totally different advice depending on who you are. If you're seeing someone who they were straight A students, they're 4.0, they didn't really do anything but school, you'll hear, oh man, I wish in college that I maybe went out a little bit more and interacted with other people. For the other side of the the people, they're the ones that went out all the time. You'll hear, oh, I wish that I studied a little bit more. For the people who are doing well financially, they will talk about the experiences that they wanted to have. The people who maybe they feel like they're a little bit behind financially, they'll let you know, like, man, I really want to invest. And then you can respond by, oh my goodness, thank you so much for telling me that I'm doing X, Y, or Z, or I'm going to do X, Y, or Z. I really appreciate you helping me and giving me some advice, because at the end of the day, we give advice to people that we know and we like. And so their brain, while they're telling you their advice, their brain is telling them, okay, I like this person. This person is a great person, and I'm going to enjoy talking to them. So when you're getting to know them, ask about the best part of their day, ask what they do for work, and ask for advice. And that sets you up perfectly for when you go, hey, you know, thank you so much for your time. Thanks so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you better. Is it okay if I tell you a little bit more about me, kind of the reasons why I'm working with Cutco? And they're going to be like, yes, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to hearing about you. Now, when you talk about yourself, you want to talk about yourself for about half the time that you're talking about them, right? So 4 to 6 minutes. This is going to be a lot shorter, but what you want to do is you want to talk about where you are right now, where you've been, and where you're going. So where you are right now, talk about being a student, being a sibling, being what you like to do for fun. So when I talk about myself, I'd go, hey, Mrs. Jones, yeah, so I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. I've got a sister, a stepbrother, and a half brother. And I go to La Sierra University. I'm studying business management. When I'm not trying to figure out how economics is supposed to work or showing people knives, I do have some hobbies. I love to play guitar. I sing a little bit. I make pens. And then I'll flip the question on them and go, hey, what do you like to do when you're not being a teacher? And that shows them that I'm listening and I'm absorbing what they said and that I'm interested in hearing more about them. And again, this should be a conversation. It shouldn't be like, okay, you talk for 5 minutes and then I'll talk for 5 minutes. It's a back and forth. And they'll tell me what they're excited about. If I know anything about it, we'll build some rapport and connection based on that. And then I'll tell them where I've been, and this one, you can be as personal or as unpersonal as you want. I tend to like to let my customers know who I am and what I've gone through. So if you are going to talk about some difficult path that you've gone through in your life, like I do in my life, I end with a positive note. So my dad passed away when I was a lot younger, and I bring that up and I tell them, hey, when I was younger, my dad passed away. My mom has been a really big, important part of my life. And even though that was a difficult situation for me, every time that I go through a situation now that's difficult, I know that I can get through it. And my mindset going into it is like, oh, God, that doesn't feel great. But who are you going to help with the situations that you put me in? And that's super important, because when I go through a difficult situation, I've noticed that I'm able to help my friends who are, in difficult situations, who are in relationships that they shouldn't be in, or are going through something tough. I know that I have the means to help them because of the past experiences that I've gone through. So where you've been is a super important thing to let your customers know, but it shouldn't be a pity party. It should be something that's like, hey, here's the situations that I found myself in. Here's how I've grown in the past. And here's what I'm looking to do in the future. And when you're talking about what you're doing in the future, you should be talking about what you want to do, either education wise, financially, vacation wise. And so when I'm doing this, I talk about, okay, Mrs. Jones, the reason I'm working as hard as I am right now, and I really appreciate you seeing my demo. The reason I'm working really hard right now is I want to graduate debt free. And so that's something I'm working really hard on. I also want to build business and communication skills because I want to run my own business in the future. I want to buy my own house by the time I'm 21. I was a little bit late on that. I was 22 when I purchased my first house. And I want to take my mom on vacation, and that ties into where I've been, right? My mom's been a really big impact on me, and so I want to be able to help her, and I want to take her somewhere special. And so that's where I'm going, and I really appreciate you helping me get towards my destination. And then after this, you've told them where you've been, you've told them where you're going and where you are right now, and now you've got to show them how to help, because at this point, you've built a really great relationship, and they're excited to hear more about how they can help you, but they don't know how. And so I start off every single appointment after I build some rapport with them and telling them about my sponsorship scholarship. Now, if you're talking about the sponsorship raffle, stop talking about the raffle. You can keep doing that if you want, but I think more impactful is changing the verbiage to be a scholarship to help you with school. Now, obviously, you're going to get the knife that your Manager buys you when you get 50 sponsors, and you're going to sell that for cash and you can use it for books. But in my mind, this is a sponsorship scholarship that's going to help me pay for my books and for tuition. And I tell my customers, Mrs. Jones, the biggest goal that I have today is not that you buy Cutco. Cutco is awesome, and if you'd like it, I want you to get it. But my biggest goal is that you like me and Cutco enough to recommend me to some of your friends and to help me hit my sponsorship scholarship. The sponsorship scholarship is given out to anyone who gets 50 sponsors. And to become a sponsor, it's super easy. All you got to do is recommend me to 10 people. If you want to become a double sponsor or a triple sponsor or quadruple sponsor, you just multiply the sponsorship number times 10. All right. So this is an easy way to make a huge impact on my life, and it doesn't cost you a dime. All right. So that's the first thing I talk about, my sponsorship scholarship. I talk about the All-American Scholarship. If you are a student, this is something that you should always have in the back of your mind on where you are in the rankings. Generally, it takes about 25,000 to do it during the spring and the fall, at least up until 2025. If you're watching this in the future, it may be a little bit higher. In the summer, you're going to have to go bigger, probably about 40 or 50,000 in order to make sure that you are on that. So always be in the back of your mind, like, hey, how far away from 25 or from 50 am I? And then I tell my customers that. I'm like, hey, Mrs. Jones, right now, I'm trying to get the All-American Scholarship. I'm working really hard towards it. I'm about $15,000 behind 25th place. So if you just want to write a check for $25,000, we can figure out what Cutco that would get you. And then I can just hang out for the rest of the semester. I'll be done. I can take a break. No, I'm just kidding, Mrs. Jones. But if you see something you like, either for yourself or someone else, I'm working really hard right now. So I'm going to be able to give you the best value today because I'm working so hard. So I really appreciate you watching my demo. Even if you don't buy anything, this is going to help me out a ton. But at the end, I'll be asking about the sponsorship scholarship. And then remember, if you see anything you like, whether it's for yourself or others, today's the best day to get it because I'm working towards my goals. And then lastly, I already said this line, but you really want to release the pressure to buy. You don't want them to feel like they have to buy. This is the last thing that you need to do to bring their walls down, because right now you've been chipping away at their walls and they should be excited and leaning forward and ready to listen. But this last release pressure to buy, it's going to be something similar to what you see on your page 4 of your manual. But I like this a little bit more because of how it's phrased. Hey, like I said on the phone, you don't have to get anything today, but if you see anything you like, whether it's for yourself or others, today's the best day to get it because I'm working so hard towards my goals. So you're giving them a reason to buy today rather than later. And I'll be going over another thing in a different video on why it's so important to have someone buy today rather than later, because people are more likely to buy in the moment than in a week or two. But that's what you need to know when you're starting to do recommendation appointments, is make sure you're building really great relationships, make sure you're building really great rapport, make sure that you know who they are, that they know who you are, and that you're telling them exactly how they can help you towards your goals. I'm really excited to hear about what your first recommendation demos look like. In the comments, please let me know if any of this has been helpful or what you've implemented and how you're going to implement your next couple of appointments. We'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.